Hello and welcome to another Analysis Behind the News, where we provide the perspective that you can use to help save American liberty and independence. Today we have a special treat for you. Usually we do this solo, but we actually have a special guest in studio. Now over the weekend, the John Birch Society celebrated its 60th anniversary, and we have a special guest that actually presented a couple of presentations at our 60th anniversary. So it is my distinct pleasure to introduce to you Pastor Powel Chojecki.
Nice to meet you.
Nice meeting you. Thank you so very much for being here. Now you are the founder and the leader of Go Against the Tide movement in Poland. So we appreciate you being here and welcome to our headquarters, of course. And so given Poland's rich history of struggle against communism, can you give us a little insight into your organization and what you're hoping to accomplish?
I came to Christ during the communist time, and I started to plant a church. But for a while, when I read the Bible, I found a lot of spiritual and political things, and it was something amazing to me. I love history of my country, so I started to connect these Bible principles about politics with our history. And I came to a conclusion that without of God's wisdom, we will not build a new solid country as it was in 16th century when Poland came through our golden age of our history. I started to teach about history and politics in my church. And 2003, when there was Poles need to decide go to European Union or not, our church was the only one church in Poland which was officially opposed to this act. And this was the time when people started to gathering near our church. They are not members of our church, but they still to want to know what the Bible teach about politics. And for a while we started a daily program in YouTube channel, and we combined current politics with the Bible, and it worked very well. People start to listen to our YouTube channel, and they, from grassroots start to organize themselves in such kinds of small clubs. And for a while they ask us, please organize a conference to join all these patriots and Christians together. So we do that 2 years ago, and we have 100 participants. Wow. And after a year, on the next conference, we have 250, and your president, Mr. Thompson, as a main guest of honor of our conference. So we are now in the process of looking for an example, and John Birch Society is, I think, the best example to do the same thing in Poland. So we are looking for your example, sure, and we will enforce our ministry to have freedom in Poland by your example.
Well, it sounds like you're off to a great start with having the small clubs like that. That is much along the lines of what our member chapters are in the
yes.
US.
But we not designed it. It was very spontaneously. Yeah. It was a very big surprise for us.
Very good. You mentioned that your church was the only one that stood up against the EU, joining the EU, 2003, 2004. What was the main concern at that point?
Of course, we knew the economic and political dangers connected with European Union, but we emphasized the spiritual dangers on family. It's the main point, and on the national state. The European Union tried to liquidate European state. and try to corrupt individuals and to fight against family and church, true churches. They have infiltrated many churches, many bishops, pastors, priests, and so on. And they give a lot of money to this kind of churches. But they fight against families, they took our children from us, and they fight with true, faithful to Jesus churches. For example, we have no access to mainstream media. They ignore us, and they have soft persecution of our activity, and they try to threaten us a little. For example, parliament member from the left side would like to sue us to the court because of the poster that Warsaw is capital of Poland. She said that it's a nationalistic Nazi propaganda.
Oh.
Yes.
No kidding.
No,
Oh,
no
my
kidding.
Goodness. That is, you know, it kind of flies in the face of common sense, correct? I mean,
Yes.
And
It's something crazy, I know.
We've seen that time and time again here in this country as well, with certain movements, you know, coming forward and trying to build up their own rights, you know, so to speak. This just flies in the face of common sense. We see that today in the news, actually, with all of the demonstrations, you know, against either a particular candidate or a Supreme Court justice nominee, or you know, things of that nature, and it really brings things to a head in the mainstream media. Now, so that's part of the effects on the individual liberty, as well as the effects on the state itself of Poland. So you've been to the United States on several occasions and have followed American politics and news. So you know that American leaders have been negotiating trade agreements and things of that nature. And in our opinion, what that is doing is will likely occur is that there will be a merging of countries under a regional unaccountable bureaucracy that leads to a new world order of world government. And so for the folks in America that cannot see that, what do you see? Do you see parallels in this country, much like what has been happening in Poland over the last 40 to 50 years?
I think that European Union was designed as a model to globalize whole nation, whole earth. And you have some maybe beginning points of it, but the main goal of this globalist is to take power from the people and give it to a board, unelected board. Mm-hmm. And in Poland, we have a lot of European Union rules, which we cannot do anything with them. We partly, step by step, we resigned from our sovereignty. And peoples are not conscious about that. It's not in one very big strike. It's by portions that people are still sleeping. And I think in United States you will have the same agenda, to give you some norms, some rules which are not decided by the people by voting on the ground on your constitution. So it's the main threat of this global agenda in NAFTA and so on in different parts of the world.
Good point, actually. You bring up NAFTA. Our former Secretary of State, Henry Kissinger, a big globalist supporter, right, had at the time of the debating of NAFTA, had mentioned that it wasn't just a mere trade agreement, but it's to be the new hierarchy of an international order.
Oh yeah.
And so we see that, you know, throughout the world, but it's there are some beginning points We can even go back even further, in time than that. But for the sake of simplicity in rolling things into today, we see that NAFTA has been renegotiated into the United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement, or USMCA. And when it just came out last week, and so we have reviewed that, and what we've noticed is that the globalist structure for that new hierarchy for international order is still there, if not even worse.
Yes, I heard about that.
And it's one of those trade agreements that not only is it basically a stepping stone up from NAFTA, but back in about 10 years ago or so, we had battled what we would consider a NAFTA on steroids, which was the SPP, the Security and Prosperity Partnership, under, believe it or not, another Republican president. And at that time, the whole point was to merge the three countries so that they have a common border, hemispheric border.
Yes.
And so having lived under that yourself in Poland, what type of advice would you give to Americans, again, that may not understand or realize that this type of New World Order, world government building is taking place under their nose?
In Europe, there is a huge problem now with illegal immigration. And at the beginning, in our church, we could see that it's not something spontaneous. It is a planned action to mixed nations of Europe to make this multi-culti project, and to destroy Christianity, because much of this illegal immigration in Europe is from Islamic states, and the percentage of Islam will grow, and in Poland there is very tiny and very old Islam minority, very good accommodate to our culture, fighting in our battles and so on, the Polish Tatars. But the new Islamic immigration is totally against our culture, our Christianity. So I think that maybe in your country would be the same problem. Your culture, your nation, your power is built on "in God we trust." One nation under God, on the Bible ground. So if you lose that foundation of your culture and identity, you will lose everything.
Well, certainly, and we look at in history with these movements of moving in, a mass migration of people. What changes, at that point? And it's basically when the culture changes, so does your government.
Yeah.
Right. And pretty soon, the rights and the protections that you have are dissipating.
Yes.
Correct. So you've seen that in Poland as well, with the attack on the family and the church?
Yes, of course. They start to think that children are not given by God to families, to parents, but to estates. So they can manage your children as they wish. They have a curriculum in this government preschools, schools, and so on. But they didn't stop at this stage. Now, when they see that you are not in order with government propaganda, you can take your children out your family and give another family. The problem LGBT and Q propaganda is now going into the curriculum of governmental schools. And in Poland and the whole Europe, the governmental schools are the main way to educate people. So it's so popular socialistic thinking in Poland. they start to forbid to homeschooling. In Germany, it's forbidden. In Poland, the so-called conservative party makes some rules to threat this parents homeschooling their children, not to do that. So it's the project to take out your children from the parents' care and to give the children to the government. And it is communist project, of course.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you know, we have seen this, you know, time and time again with the globalists actually, you know, coming in and just very slightly over time, like you had mentioned, you know, just a little small step at a time.
Yeah.
What we'd consider maybe even like a salami slice, you know,
Yes,
so to
yes,
speak.
yes, yes,
Right?
yes.
And
It's known in Poland too.
Okay,
This
all right.
idiom.
So seeing that happen, but it happens just on such a small incremental basis that the majority of the population just does not see that until suddenly it's like the frog being you know, stepping into the pot.
Yeah.
Pretty soon the water is too hot that it's boiling, and you know, the frog perishes.
The second area is the gun control area. And a few months ago, European Union started to a project to take guns from the people. And in Poland, we are most disarmed nation in, I think, maybe whole world. There is 1.5 gun for 100 people. It's a harvest after Nazi and communist time, because when Nazi and communists start to rule, they would like to disarm you. So you couldn't fight against them. So Poland has so-called conservative party in rule, but still have this kind of very bad communist rules due to the gun control. And European Union start to do something very dangerous. I think in states there are the same issues that some leftists would like to give you some rules not to have freedom to have guns and to use them. For
Right.
in Poland, in some situation for the sports goals, you can have a gun. But when you use it for self-defense, you will go to prison.
Wow.
There is forbidden to use guns. Of course, it's not stated in papers, but there is a practice. When someone
Precedents
yes,
set.
yes,
Sure. And that's very dangerous. Anytime, obviously, that you want to control a population, what
you
do
need
do?
to disarm
Yes,
that
yes,
population.
because then they do not have the physical means to
Yes.
actually fight back, right? Yeah, this has been fascinating. So we thank you for taking the time today to you know, sit with us and talk with us, and hopefully what we've done is we've set off some of the alarm bells in the American people. So
We have hope,
yes,
and it is our power. In God we trust.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So folks, let's heed the wise words from Pastor Chojecki, or excuse me, Chojecki. My apologies.
Very difficult, I understand it.
So let's heed his wise words, and what we need to do is build that pressure on Congress and President Trump to let them know that we need to get out of NAFTA, as well as United States-Mexico-Canada agreement and any other alphabet soup trade agreements, because as we've heard firsthand, that the new world order is out there building its world government, just a step at a time. And again, many Americans cannot see that. So all links are in the video description. We ask you for your help on that, and also to please share this video widely and let others know about it. And so until next time, we'll see you then.